You know that thing you've been putting off for days, maybe weeks? What if I told you that you could beat that procrastination in less time than it takes to brush your teeth? There's a rule I use that takes only 2 minutes, and it can flip your entire day around. Look, procrastination is one of those silent killers of dreams. You have big goals, maybe you're building a business, maybe you're trying to grow as a person, but then you find yourself scrolling on your phone, watching videos, or convincing yourself you'll start tomorrow. I've been there. I know exactly how it feels to want to move forward, but feel stuck in this loop. That's why today I'm going to show you my personal way of breaking free from procrastination using something I call the 2-minute rule. It sounds almost too simple, but trust me, once you start using it, it changes everything. Let's be real for a second. Procrastination isn't about being lazy. If you're an entrepreneur, a student, or just someone who wants to make progress, you're not lazy. You're ambitious. You have ideas and plans. But what kills you is the mental block. You think about everything you have to do, and suddenly the weight of the task feels so heavy that your brain decides, hey, let's do it later. And later becomes tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week, and then you feel guilty. The worst part? That guilt eats at you. You know you should be working on that business plan, making that sales call, writing that email, or maybe even going to the gym. But instead, you keep putting it off. And the more you delay, the harder it feels to start. That's the trap of procrastination. It's not the task itself that's the problem, it's the starting. And that's where the 2-minute rule comes in. So, what exactly is the 2-minute rule? It's simple. If something takes less than 2 minutes to do, just do it right now. But here's the real power of it. It's not just about doing small tasks. It's about tricking your brain into starting bigger tasks by shrinking them down to the very first 2 minutes. Let me give you an example. Let's say you need to write a business proposal. That's a huge task. Your brain looks at it and goes, ugh, that's going to take hours. I don't want to do that right now. So you avoid it. Instead, you tell yourself, all I need to do is open a blank document and write the first sentence. Just 2 minutes. That's it. Once you start, something funny happens. Your brain keeps going. You write another sentence, then another. Before you know it, you've been working for 30 minutes, sometimes even an hour. And it all started because you gave yourself permission to only commit to 2 minutes. That's the trick. The 2-minute rule lowers the resistance. It makes your brain feel safe enough to start. Now let's break this down further because I don't want you to just nod along. I want you to actually feel how this works in your life. Why the 2-minute rule works. 1. It removes the weight of forever. When you think of going to the gym, you think of an entire workout. But the 2-minute rule says, just put on your shoes. That's it. And once the shoes are on, the rest usually follows. 2. It tricks your brain into momentum. Starting is the hardest part. But once you're in motion, you naturally want to keep going. It's like pushing a car. The hardest push is at the beginning, but once it's rolling, it's way easier to keep moving. 3. It builds trust with yourself. When you consistently follow this rule, you start believing that you can start tasks. That trust compounds. Suddenly, you're not the type of person who procrastinates all the time. You're the type of person who gets things going, even if it's small. Real-life applications for entrepreneurs. Let's apply this directly to business, because if you're an entrepreneur, procrastination can literally cost you money. Making sales calls. Instead of telling yourself, I need to call 50 leads today, which feels like climbing a mountain, you say, I'll just call one person, just one. 2 minutes after that, the momentum builds, and you end up making way more calls. Writing content. Maybe you want to post on LinkedIn or Instagram to grow your brand, but writing content feels huge. Instead, apply the 2-minute rule. I'll just write the first sentence of a post. Chances are, once you start, you'll finish the whole thing. Emails. That email you've been avoiding? Open your inbox, write the subject line. 2 minutes, boom, you're in motion. Planning. Instead of mapping out your whole month, just write down the first 2 ideas that come to mind. That small action often snowballs into a full plan. Let me tell you a quick story. There was a time when I was dragging my feet on updating my website. I kept telling myself, I need a full day to work on this. Guess what happened? Weeks went by, no progress. Then one morning I said, I'll just open the editor and change one headline. 2 minutes. That small action led me into changing a headline, then fixing the layout, then updating my call to action button. What I thought would take me a full day of resistance turned into a productive 2-hour session, all because I gave myself permission to just do 2 minutes. Another example, a friend of mine wanted to start working out again. He hadn't been to the gym in months. He kept saying he didn't have time. I told him about the 2-minute rule. He started by telling himself, I'll just put on my gym clothes and do 2 minutes of stretching. After a week of doing that, he found himself naturally staying longer, building back the habit. Now he's consistent, and it all started with 2 minutes. The problem isn't that people don't want success. It's that they make the barrier to entry way too high. They tell themselves, I need to work for 3 hours today, and if they can't, they do nothing. The 2-minute rule removes that all or nothing mindset. You don't need a full 3 hours, you just need 2 minutes. And the funny part? Those 2 minutes often turn into more. But even if they don't, you've still won. Because doing 2 minutes every day builds consistency. And consistency always beats random bursts of effort. Here's the truth bomb. Procrastination is not about time management. It's about emotion management. You're not avoiding the task because you don't have time. You're avoiding it because it feels heavy, uncomfortable, or scary. The 2-minute rule cuts through that emotional barrier. It tells your brain, hey, relax. We're only doing 2 minutes. That's nothing. And before your brain realizes it, you're already in the zone. This is the shift. Once you see procrastination as an emotional game, not a productivity game, everything changes. The 2-minute rule is your cheat code to win that game. So let's wrap this up. Procrastination is not about laziness, it's about starting. The 2-minute rule works because it lowers the barrier. It gets you moving. Whether it's writing, calling, working out, or planning your business, shrink it down to a 2-minute action. Remember, success isn't built on giant leaps. It's built on tiny steps that compound. The 2-minute rule gives you those tiny steps, and those steps turn into unstoppable momentum. If you want more videos like this, hit subscribe.